this is the book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 17. It says, the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. So, alright, so first and foremost, I'm going to give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. We say amongst the apostles and elders of great most rule well. Our teachers are apostles in the truth. And we say salutations to the Akim, say pushing the truth and say day and day out in the continuing season or season. We say Shalom. Now once again, we're going to tell a video here that's basically touching upon the chariot of the Lord. This was basically the two pictures I'm going to show here. It's two pictures that I was reading particular articles about the chariots last night, right? And this first picture here that I was reading, which is a complex ex-Navy. A complex is basically the side that I get the information from. It's an ex-Navy pilot says he's seen hundreds of UFOs over the years. Hundreds of UFOs over the years. Recently, we got leaks were given out that the Pentagon were hiding sightings of UFOs, right? And recently they confirmed the leaks. The Pentagon actually came out and said, yes, it is true that we covered up and we hid thousands of sightings of UFOs, right? But this last night, these articles basically show up when I was just reading certain other stuff, and so while reading this first one here, this first particular one, say ex-Navy pilot says he's seen hundreds of UFOs over the years, right? After reading the article and going down in it, I basically went on Twitter after, right? And right on Twitter, the second most trending thing on Twitter was this. It said UFOs, a debate about the existence of UFOs reignites after 60 minutes airs a piece with former Navy pilot Lieutenant Ryan Graves and former head of Pentagon UFOs investigation program, right? So this was an interview that aired in this particular news place that a former ex-Navy pilot saw UFOs. He saw UFOs, right? So in next piece they say, I'm not telling you that it doesn't sound wacky. What I'm telling you, it's real. And yes, what they so-called call UFO, right? An identified flying object. It's basically, when you read the scriptures, it is identified. It is mentioned, it is identified what it is. Now, Esau being Esau, they demonize the UFOs. They demonize the chariots of the Lord. Basically, when you read the scriptures, you'll know that what they call UFOs is chariots. Now, people grow up being brainwashed. They were basically fed these things being evil. They was basically being fed green men coming out from it, and all this sort of other stuff that they basically fed your mind with when you was younger. You grew up thinking that this thing is evil, but when you read the scriptures and you get to understand what it really is, it is the chariots of the Lord, right? So that is why I start with Psalm 68 verse 17. They say the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. And if the Lord was, we know the Lord was with them with Moses and them. The chariots was there, right? So it said the chariots of God are 20,000, the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place, right? So it say what 20,000. Say ex-Navy pilot says he's seen hundreds of UFOs over the years, and just to say the Lord, hey, this like let me say, like the technology that the Lord have, or the power that the Lord have, and these chariots have. These chariots are all around us. You understand? Yeah, just like we can see them, they camouflage, they turn invisible. All these things that the chariots could do, that the Lord's chariots could do. You understand? That they could do. You counters. It have videos where you see chariots coming out from volcanoes, bringing out lightning with them. You see videos of chariots going into the sea and so forth. Right? But what the world call UFOs is basically, when you read the scriptures, it is the Lord's chariots. You see, hey, I myself encounter plenty of chariots. Even way before I come into the truth, I basically had I remember that time I was watching a meteor shower, and I saw three big ones, like large, like big. And I remember calling my aunt to see it, and when she came out and see the size of them, she basically bawled. She bawled and ran back inside, you know. And the things were big, right? And I remember seeing it for the first time. I remember coming to the truth, and my elder breaking it down for us and telling us what it was, what it is that I saw. You know, going into the scriptures, bringing out these scriptures and showing that, hey, this is the Lord chariots and so forth. Understand? In the Bible, it is mentioned like you hear the Lord say clouds, you know, clouds. You hear the Lord say chariots. When you say coming in clouds, you talk about the chariots, like because at certain times that time I was by the beach, right, and I was with some of the brothers, and I remember seeing one. The clouds were going in one direction, and this one cloud was going the other way, but quick, and then it just vanished. And I was like, yo, there's a chariot, you know. But again, Esau demonized the Lord chariots, the things of the Lord. We know they demonize it. They demonize the scriptures. They demonize the things that we teach. They demonize everything good. You know, they make everything good seem evil. They twist the things upside down, right? So obviously what they do is make the Lord chariot seem like it's something, you know, unidentified, as they say UFO, unidentified flying object, right? They call it that. But when you read the scriptures, IFO, identified flying object, you know what it is. It is mentioned, right? It is mentioned. It was there since the Lord chariot was there since the beginning. Son. So yeah, and again, they fed you from a child. They fed you from being a child, right? That these things, you know, green men coming out, they're coming to kidnap your brain and all this sort of things that Esau do. Just to make it think it evil, right? Just to make it think it evil, but it's not. At the end of the day, the one thing that they have correct, right, is that the chariots come to fight against them, and that is written in the scriptures. That is written here, right? At the end of the day, why would Esau talk about they're preparing for a war out of space, they're building a space force and so forth? Why would they do that? As it is mentioned in the scriptures that they would fight against the Lord, they would stand to fight. Matter of fact, let me go to that. That is 2nd Ezra chapter 13, right? Um, 13. I must start from verse 13. I'll start from verse 5. They say, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. He had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. The mountain is really considered like the chariot. It's a great mountain, so big. Even that was mentioned in I believe it was the book of Habakkuk. Let's get this here quick. Even in the book of Habakkuk mentioned the chariots of the Lord and how it come to destroy this place. You see, this is Habakkuk chapter 3, verse I'll go to verse I'll start from verse 2. It say, O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known in wrath remember mercy. So Habakkuk praying, saying, in wrath remember mercy, because the things that the Lord coming to do, and the destruction that these chariots are even coming to do. Right? You see, I'm going to jump to verse 6. You say, he stood and measured the earth. He held and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered, and the perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against thy rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? So the Lord, what Habakkuk saying was displeased. The destruction was so great that even the rivers, the mountains, was scattered. You understand? And Habakkuk was saying, well, we were displeased against the rivers as well. But the piece is, was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thine chariots of salvation. So what they call it, what they Habakkuk call it, was he ride upon the chariots of salvation. That is what the world call UFOs, is what, or the chariots of salvation. That is like we next act to come. That is what going to take us out of this place. Right? So jump back to the second verse 13. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he engraved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the rain. But I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. So that chariot was so big that you could not see the end. It was big, not like they say a mothership. For example, when you watch Independence Day, you see how big it was. And what Habakkuk saying here, that when he flew upon, he gave himself upon a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. So this chariot was so big that he could not see the end or the full thing of it. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. They show you the chariots, how it is from the in the movies. They show you how the chariots shoot off fire from underneath. The circle pieces he open and burst fire. It's like his mouth. But I only saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one. Again, why would Esau make a space force? Why would they do? Why they were watching from an attack from outer space? Even the scripture is telling you that they will fight against the Lord when he come in, because they themselves know the Lord. They themselves know that the Lord coming back with his chariots. Know the Lord coming back with the UFOs. But they had to fulfill that prophecy where they would have to fight against the Lord. But they will fail, and they will fall with great violence. They say, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, because the destruction the Lord coming with is great. Just imagine, is when I watch movies, I watch things like War of the Worlds, Independence Day. When I see the blast fire out from the chariot, from the UFO, wait see it turn the men into dust. So we feel Esau get the idea from is from the scriptures. Majority of the movies and all the things that Esau make, they get it from the scriptures. But they demonize the things that are good. Because many people would see this and picture. Many people would read this article. Some might laugh, or might scorn, and might say they're talking shit. Some might already know about the UFOs and believe, but they wouldn't understand what it is. So this pilot seeing hundreds of UFOs, just as the book of Psalms say, thousands. Psalm 68 again, verse 17. They say the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Thousands. He see hundreds, but there's thousands. The chariots be all around us every day. There are countless of videos that I saw with brothers put up, you see like 20, 30 chariots flying at the same time. There are sightings of people see big ones, sightings of people seeing hundreds. The chariots are around us every day. If the Lord not visiting, if the Lord not watching, the Lord watch every day. Ezekiel talk about the wheel. Zechariah talk about the let's go to Zechariah, matter of fact. Let's go to Zechariah. This is Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1. And I'm sure if you read the scripture for your pastor and ask him what this is, he can't answer you. He wouldn't be able to answer you. He wouldn't be able to give you a definition. The teachings Christianity and all these churches teach is that the Lord come back with a white horse with wings. But when you go into the white horse with wings, you take again, certain scriptures mention the horse and so forth, but they take that literal. You understand? They take that literal, and we don't know the churches go back to paganism and so forth, right? Ask a pastor about the Zechariah 5. Ask him about the chariots of the Lord, and he can answer what it is. Ask him why there's so much sightings of UFOs and what it is. If the scripture is mentioned, and he can't bring out that scripture for you. This is Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1. He said, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. Plenty instances, plenty description over the years, over the decades. What you hear people mention with this, when they look up in the sky, what they see to be like a flying roll. Plenty descriptions, plenty people that cite it and so forth would describe it to be a flying roll. Right? He said, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on the side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on the side according to it. So this is the curse. Right? This is the curse. He said, I will bring it forth, said the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof of stone to earth. Right? I'm going to jump down in scripture here. See the curse, right? Isaiah 66, verse 14, right? It says, and when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servant, and his indignation toward his enemies. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. Like his chariots like a whirlwind. To the render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So they all say, well, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury. To render his anger with fury, see, we really second as we talk about the Lord going to burn them up, the chariots going to shoot off flames of fire and so forth. Even in the book of Isaiah, tell you the Lord coming with his chariots coming with his chariots, right? To render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. So you don't know what them chariots coming to do. These chariots, as I say, the curse. These chariots coming to cause pain, destruction. It say, by fire and by his sword will the Lord kill with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be what? Many. In countless of movies, you see how much chariots over America and the shooting on, they're destroying they're destroying the place. You understand? Destroying the whole of this place. That's what the Lord coming back to do. Jump down that scripture here. This is Revelation chapter 1 verse 7. It said, behold, he coming with clouds. He coming with clouds. Again, there's the chariots are mentioned like clouds. It said, and every eye shall see him. Every eye shall see him. So when all those things come across the sky, you know, take off that invisibility cloak and so forth, and we feel everybody going to see it. Everybody going to see that. The destruction of this place is going to be great. And it's, and behold, he coming with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him, and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. So yeah, behold, he coming with clouds. Again, it's mentioned like clouds. So yeah, again, the misconception, the misinformation that Esau do is just feed all to believe that these things are evil, that these things wicked, you know. And that's what they will continue to do, demonize it. But why? Again, question yourself, go and look it up. Why they creating Space Force? Why one of the presidents say that one of the wars would be in space? Why one of the wars will be in the sky? You know, I believe it's something like that. You understand? So it is Isaiah 31 verse 5. It says, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. So yeah. So you get an idea, you get a thing. Even Zechariah give you a description of flying rule. The flying rule. So, and recently we started to see all this information come out that America was hiding videos, hiding sightings of it. You know? You can even read the instance with Elisha and them when the young man's eyes was open and he see the multitude, he see the chariots cover the place. There's a perfect example of the chariots all over this. We can't see them. They see them at certain times. They make themselves seen unto us, you know, but they're all over. To the point where now you're seeing so much information that ex-Navy members used to see hundreds, because they used to be they be in the sky, they be, you know, flying and so forth. So yeah. So again, the UFOs, you know, the UFOs, what Esau deemed as the UFOs is actually the chariots of the Lord. Right? So that again, when I give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Yakakodash, we said amongst apostles and elders of great missionary rule well, and citation so they are come to pursue not to say day and day out, no canceling season or season, we say Shalom.